From castles, superheroes, and talking toys to thrilling rides and magical parades, Disney has become a place where imagination feels real and dreams become true. Behind all that magic, however, this magical theme park didn't just appear overnight. So today we're going to be taking a ride and going through the history of Disney, who created and turned this magical place into reality, and lastly, why Disneyland continues to attract millions of visitors. Now, let's think back to when we were kids watching Disney movies and imagining what it would feel like to step inside that world. For millions of people, that dream becomes true whenever they step into Disneyland. And to help you understand the magic behind it even more, let's start by looking at its history. So it all started in the 1940s. According to a Day in LA Tours, they state that the creator first spoke about creating Disneyland when taking his two daughters to ride the carousel at Griffith Park in Los Angeles. Watching his two daughters from a park bench, he dreamed about creating a place where families could go and enjoy, where kids can go have fun, and parents could relax, especially because there was no theme parks like that during that time. He also knew this would be a great idea because he was running a studio called Walt Disney Studios, and it was already greatly known for its cartoon characters, including Mickey Mouse, and animated films such as Snow White. He knew that he wanted to create a place where their favorite films would come to life. So in 1914, he sent a memo to the designer Dick Kelsley outlining his ideas for the famous Mickey Mouse Park. The typical parks during that time were not family friendly. Additionally, they were dirty and disorganized, and he knew that he didn't want anything negative to be a part of his park. It was going to be totally different. The original concept was going to be a small park with a boat ride, but the project soon outgrew, and more designers got involved in the planning. And it became clear that they needed a bigger space to hold the park, so after searching for long periods of time, they finally found a space they needed at a cost they could afford, purchasing a 160-acre orchard in Anaheim, California. The original name was Mickey Mouse Park, but it soon became Disneylandia, and finally they settled down on the name Disneyland. 1 year and $17 million later, the park was ready and opened its doors to the public. Now that we went on a quick ride through the history, let's head our way to the food court to learn more about the man who created this all, the man whose dreams were turned into reality, and the place that we know of today, Walt Disney. Walt Disney was born on December 5th, 1901 in Chicago. But when he was just an infant, he moved to a typical small town in Missouri because his dad had a huge love for farming. He moved with his mother, Flora Call Disney, his father, Elias Disney, and his four siblings, Herbert, Raymond, Roy, and Ruth. There, Walt began his schooling and discovered his love for drawing and painting. But soon after, his father had decided to drop all his interests, including farming, and the family decided to move again. Leaving many things behind, they moved to Kansas City. Um, According to Britannica, Walt Disney started studying cartooning and later on took classes at Kansas City Art Institute, the School of Design. But in 1917, the Disneys moved back to Chicago, where Walt attended McKinley High School. He took photographies, made drawings for school newspapers, and studied cartooning on the side, and eventually achieved a job as a newspaper cartoonist. But his dreams were going to have to put on pause due to World War I occurring. At 16 years old, Walt became an ambulance driver for the American Red Cross. He became an ambulance driver because all three of his older brothers had joined to fight the war, and he got inspired because of that. He also wanted to join as well, but since he was too young, he forged his birth year and became an ambulance driver instead. After 11 months flew by, he finally left France and unpaused his dreams, where soon after he met Ube Iwerks. They started experiencing with animations together, and they opened a small studio and created small advertisements called Laughograms. Seeing how fast he grew, he made a risky decision and moved to California to work as a cinematographer. He made films like Alice in Wonderland, and the amount of success he received led him and his brother Roy Disney to reopen their studio in Hollywood. He started experiencing with cartoons, and he came up with a cheerful and energetic and mischievous mouse, Mickey Mouse. The love that he received for Mickey Mouse and his girlfriend Minnie Mouse led him to make more characters such as Donald Duck, Pluto, and Goofy. His achievements during that time just kept going up, and they didn't stop. But sadly, for many great things, they come to an end, and unfortunately, Walt Disney had died from lung cancer and passed away on December 5th, 1966. But his legacy still goes on to this day and will always be remembered as a huge inspiration for many people. Now that we went on a couple of rides and got some food, it is sadly time to hit the exit. But just like every Disney story has a magical ending, it is important to know why Disney continues to attract millions of visitors. As you guys may know, Disneyland is one of the most visited parks in the whole entire world. And according to LA Times, they state that millions of people pay hundreds of dollars or even travel across the world to visit this park. Why is it so popular, you may ask? The main reason is the nostalgia of it. Seeing familiar faces or familiar characters from their childhood gives them a glimpse of their old life or their childhood. And that was Walt Disney's plan all along. He wanted to see families happy and he wanted to bring them happiness instead of parents just sticking to the sidelines. And as Walt Disney once said, Disneyland will never be completed. It will always continue to grow as long as there is imagination left in this world. And due to the interesting history, the unforgettable creator, and the millions of visitors, that's what makes Disneyland so special and unforgettable to everyone. Thank you.